Hi! What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video and welcome to my review of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Me and a very good friend of mine, we sat down, we had a chat, we had a very real, raw talk about our opinions on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I think it's made for a very interesting discussion, which I think you will enjoy. If you enjoy the MCU, if you enjoy Marvel, and you enjoyed watching The Falcon and Winter Soldier, we will break down our opinions. We have a very deep dive into all of the major story arcs going on in the series. We talk about Falcon, Winter Soldier, and all the supporting characters throughout. It made for a very interesting discussion, and please enjoy. You've been warned about spoilers as well. Heavy spoilers incoming.
So what were your initial thoughts? I thought, obviously, he got that special box from the Wakandans in episode 5. Obviously, his wings got destroyed. It was going to be new wings. But it was like, will they, won't they give him the Cap costume? And they did. It was comic accurate. He burst in the window. It was amazing. I was really hyped about that. I was really happy with that.
I thought it was just, it was so comic accurate, and I didn't think
I know.
I was like, it looks good.
I was blown away by the fact, especially when they did like the mask, which like rises up the side of the face, but then good doesn't cover the head. I was like, it looks fucking mint.
Definitely not practical though. Like, definitely not. Considering like he, punched the head and he's dead. I was thinking, well, I know it's common accurate, but like you could do with some sort of head protection. It's like, let's make a vibranium suit and we'll just leave the top of the skull exposed.
Well, things are, and that's not something I got from it. Actually, is the suit vibranium? Obviously, the Wakandans made it.
I would say there'd be some. I think his wings will be vibranium. I mean, why would they not make it vibranium though? Why would they not?
Yeah, I suppose.
Because why would they they want the new Captain America? They want it to be unites the world. If T'Challa's kicking it out somewhere, which he is technically, he would have wanted Captain America to have the good suit, and he knows Sam, so there's no way it wouldn't be vibranium. I thought anyway. Pseudoscience at its finest would dictate that it's got some vibranium somewhere. I am glad they didn't kill John Walker. I think throughout the whole series, I think he's been my favourite character in the whole series. I think he's had a really good arc to start with. I think initially, he's been thrust in. He's been given an opportunity to be the symbol of America and the symbol of the world against serious treachery, serious fights coming forward. And I think it was hard boots to fill. Anybody who wasn't already a superhero couldn't really fill them. And he went in, he took it on. He won Medal of Honor. He's one of the most accomplished soldiers of all time, more so than Steve was before he was given the serum. And then he was given a hard hand. It's hard to do that. And I think at times, he's been told by basically everyone who matters that he's not good enough to be Captain America. And by everyone that matters, I mean every superhero he's actually met, being Falcon and Bucky. They've both been like, "You're not Captain America. You're not our Captain America." So you can see why he sort of had this why he took the serum, because he felt like, for one, he wasn't being able to fight those Wakandans. He couldn't he was getting beat by normal people, and he's thinking, how am I going to be Captain America if I can't fight superhero enemies? I can't even beat normal people. However, Sam doesn't need it, which I think is interesting as well. But it's just I think he's had the best arc, and then I thought, when the truck started to fall off at the end, I thought he was going to leave it, and I thought, nah, this is going to be his downfall. He just wants to revenge, and he's going to. But he made the right decision, and he saved them, and then I thought he was going to die. When the truck was falling on him, I thought he was going to die through that, and I was like, oh
yeah, so did I. Actually,
I was like, no, don't kill him.
I'm really happy with what they did with John Walker. Like you say, I think when obviously the Dora Milaje, the fucking Wakandan soldiers, they are the creme de la creme. They are probably the most peak human being you can be without having a super soldier serum. So I suppose to be beaten by them shouldn't really bruise your ego that much. But it is just the case of the boots that you had to fill. He just sort of had an immediate and aggressive inadequacy forced on him, because he was never going to be able to do that. And then, like you say, that one line where he does get beat by the Dora Milaje and he's on his knees, and obviously Lamar's trying to come on, get up, let's go, and he's just sitting there looking at the floor. He says there weren't even super soldiers. It's just that's just you could see the downfall, the spiral.
Yeah.
One thing I was not, to be honest, I thought I was really a bit confused by. I think his presence in the final episode was strangely brushed over, especially with where we left him.
Yeah. With
John Walker trying to literally cave in Sam and butt his head in with a shield, to then literally having to snap his arm in half to take it away from him, for him screaming, "I am Captain America," to then have this shield physically and brutally ripped from him, to then be denounced by his government and like the people of the world in America and shit, and then to be affronted with the brand spanking new shining Captain America, which everyone on the street is now praising, to him to be immediately fine with that. And like in that final confrontation, Walker and Sam didn't say a single word to each other, and I thought that was a little bit strange.
Yeah,
not even either an acknowledgement of, oh, Walker, well, like for example, that truck thing, going for the truck instead of chasing Carly. Sam being like, oh, I saw you do that, you made the right decision, like a nod to you, like, well done, like maybe I got you wrong, or simply the other way around, flip side, a nod from Walker to Sam to basically be like, yeah, I was a dickhead, I shouldn't have had that shield, it's right that you have it, well done, like, get on with it. Because I was going to that episode expecting them to have a confrontation,
but
but they didn't.
I went in thinking that John Walker was going to be the villain. I thought, okay, they've got
absolutely.
Kylie. It's Kylie early on. And
Carly,
it's going to be over in 10 minutes, and he's going to be the villain. They didn't do that, thankfully. And I think the thing is, though, like going back to when he had to give up the shield. The thing is, though, in his eyes, and I think logically, it is his. Like, so when he doesn't give them the shield, right? He is Captain America. They aren't Captain America. Captain America is a title held by government, essentially, in theory. It isn't, isn't it? It isn't. So I think both sides were right to take the shield. I think Sam and Bucky were definitely right to take the shield because it was Steve's and it was given to Sam. But Sam then surrendered it to the government. They then went behind his back and took it out of the museum. But I can see why both of them were thinking, no, like, this is it's my shield. And John couldn't just go, here's the shield, because he's Captain America. He's in that moment, he's just screwed up big style. He's just killed that guy. But I see why he didn't want to give it up, and I see why he was prepared, because, he's just been given, that super soldier and soldier serum. He's been just proven that he can hold his own. Now he might even feel like Captain America more than ever, and then that's to say, well, no, we're still saying you're not Captain America. I can totally get it. And I think this is like really, really props to Marvel, because this amount of, I was not expecting to have such great characters, and I think that's what they've done well with this series. I think every single character in that series I could relate to. Carly, Sharon, John, Sam, Bucky. I think there wasn't a clear villain in the series, and I think that is real credit to how Marvel have wrote this series.
Yeah, and no, speaking of clear villains, the little final, but near the end of the episode, we see Zemo on the raft.
Yeah.
Again, to be honest, Zemo was quite a grey. Obviously, it was vengeance he was after in Civil War because of the slaughtering on his family and clear disregard of the entire global community towards like the atrocities in Sokovia.
Yeah,
but like even in this, it was like at the end, Zemo was sitting in his prison cell, and I was reflecting back on what Zemo did throughout the series. Zemo wasn't really an adversary to anyone. Again, Zemo was just, I am anti-super soldier serum.
Yeah,
that's I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about the US. I don't give a fuck about this little fight. I do not. He's of the opinion that absolute power corrupts absolutely. So he does not want anyone to have the serum.
Which I agree with.
Yeah, I suppose there was a few times that he like slunk away and he slipped out the door while they were thingying, but ultimately he didn't do anything that was to hamper anyone. So he was a really interesting one as well.
I love how he's like, absolute power corrupts absolutely. I'm going to tell you this while I sit in my private jet and drink my £1,000 bottle of whiskey. It's like,
yes, well, no one's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. No one's perfect. That's the thing, isn't it? It's like absolute power corrupts absolutely. But he's a baron in his land, and he's got like a butler, and he just planned like an assassination of those 4 super soldiers at the end and stuff. And it's like, I mean, that to me is one of the biggest things I didn't like, was the fact that they just snapped the fingers and decided Zemo was this multi-millionaire who could just fund it all. But obviously,
I think so. I haven't snapped his fingers. His name is Baron Zemo.
Yeah,
he is. You know what I mean? Like, just because he didn't have his Baron title in Civil War doesn't mean it wasn't the case. Because if you think about what he did, he fucking carried out international espionage and assassination. Yeah. Like you need resources to do that.
True.
It's just they didn't overtly say it.
Can we just cycle back to John quickly?
Yeah,
what did you think about the US agent thing at the end? I mean, I knew John Walker was the US agent, but
oh yeah,
I liked the suit. Is he going to be an Avenger?
I like the suit. I like anything to do with growing the roster, so I'm happy that we'll get to see Wyatt Russell again in the future. Don't know what that capacity is going to be, because to be honest, this weird fucking sleazy government chick who's quite charismatic in all fairness, we don't really know what her crack is. When she was first introduced, I thought she was like going to be someone like from like Madripoor or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to be like a sleazy underground thing, but now the fact he's called US Agent, it just makes us feel like she's one probably like a career headstrong sort of doing seedy shit in the US government. So I don't know. It kind of just seems to me that he potentially could be like a sort of maybe less aggressive and malicious American version of the Winter Soldier.
Or maybe
so he's going to be going on the hush hush Black Ops behind the door sort of grim US stuff,
like Black Widow was doing as well. Like Black Widow, I mean, War Machine's doing stuff like that for the government as well. You know, there's no way Rhodes isn't rocking up and like, you know, doing loads of stuff in the Middle East and stuff. That's like pretty much all he's doing in Afghan. You know, like raiding villages and that, or accidentally killed a few families. Oh, oopsies.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But that's the vibes I got. I definitely didn't get he's going to be an Avengers vibes. I got like, oh, he's going to be doing stuff for the government. But like I say, yes, we got Black Widow. Yes, we've got Rhodes. But like, is what he's going to do in the future, is that going to line up with him being a part of the Avengers or potentially an adversary?
Well, I think you know, he was chosen to be Captain America because of his history, his sacrifice, but also because he is, despite his flaws of maybe seeing his best friend of all time being killed in front of him and wanting vengeance, which I think we could all relate to. He's a good character, he's got a good heart, and he probably does align more with Steve Rogers than some seedy government. So would he be doing like, you know, assassinations? I can't see it. Like it would seem against the grain of what we're seeing of him. Mm-hmm. Like it's just shown, you know, if he'd pursued Carly, left that truck fall, then yeah, I might be thinking at the end that yeah, he's going to be coming and do some sort of seedy stuff for the government. But now, you know, he made the right decision. He had the chance to do the right thing, and he did it. That makes us think that he's going to have a part in the Avengers, and you know what? I really hope he does. I actually genuinely hope that he has a part to play in the Avengers coming forward.
Yeah,
I'm so glad with what they did with him. You know, honestly,
he was the best part of the season. Yeah, he was the best part of the series. Is Walker, absolutely.
And I think people were like, "Oh, not my Cap." I'm so against that. Like, I just think he was such a good character, well wrote, and I'm glad that. Do you know what? Marvel have this problem where they'll just kill off the villains. It's like that's how they solve their issues. They just kill them all off. And like John Walker, he's not even an anti-hero. He is the hero for 4 out of the 6 episodes of the season, and then he just has a blip in episode 5. Sorry, and it's like, you know, they could have just had him killed and then left it, and I think that would have been just terrible. I think
lazy.
Yeah. I think it just I'm really happy with what they did with them. I think yeah, you're right. It's a standout part of the whole series, in my opinion.
There's two gripes I've got. There's 2 more gripes I've got with thingy.
Go on.
They're very minor, stupid gripes. They're very minor, stupid gripes. And I know like there'll be very, very real world issues as to why they're a thing. But number 1 is not really thingy. Hey, notice that French people are like the only people that it seems reasonably it's appropriate to be overtly racist towards them.
I did notice that.
Like when Sam is like, it's like you owe me some money, and he goes, "Oh, what are you gonna get? Some French fries and a baguette." It's like that's racist. Yeah. Imagine if that guy was an Asian superhero. Like French people, it just seems like you could be openly racist to French people and no one gives a shit. And if anything, it's funny and witty. It's like
saying to a British person, "Oh, you're going to have some tea and some crumpets," and that doesn't offend me, but it's still it's still racist. It's racist to say that.
Oh yeah, But so the thing, that's just a little one, which is just like it's strange that in media that's apparently appropriate. One gripe again. I know this. The real reason this is happening is because they want the action scenes to be good. They want them to be well choreographed. They want them to have like a bit of to and fro. But what I get frustrated by is, if we look at Walker and we look at Bucky, the Winter Soldier, you've got 2 super soldiers fighting other super soldiers. So basically, there's a level playing field, right? Yeah. Actually, in fact, Bucky's got a vibranium arm, so actually Bucky's got an advantage immediately. Why the fuck can these civilians, who all they've did was take some fucking serum, hold their own against the Winter Soldier, who not only has the super soldier serum and a vibranium fucking arm, has literal decades of combat experience and military training. Same with Walker. They are both accomplished soldiers first and then super soldiers. These people are just thugs who are strong. If you take a thug who's strong versus a thug who's strong and who's trained to fight, the one who's trained how to fight is going to win. And it's annoying how they seem to like one-on-one and Bucky's struggling.
I've got a few things to say to that. Firstly, I agree with you on Bucky. I feel like he was nerfed. I feel like for whatever reason, when he was fighting, he just seemed like he was struggling. I would say, however, you don't know if these civilians have been doing any sort of combat training, and how much combat training how much hand-to-hand combat training do you actually do in the military? Not a great deal when you actually think about it.
Well, but I suppose again with Bucky, you've seen what Bucky can do because Bucky fought Cap loads of times hand to hand.
Yeah, that to me, like, you know, when he has a knife and Winter Soldier. But then again, it's like, but then he's under mind control. Does he fight differently when he's under mind control, or does he fight the same?
Yeah,
you know, like he's always pulling these. Bucky's always going to be pulling these punches now. Like that's a difference, isn't it? Like when he was a Winter Soldier, he wanted to kill, whereas he's always doesn't want to kill anybody. He's always pulling these punches. So there's that. But I think when you see John Walker fight Carly at the very last end of episode 6, she's massively outclassed.
Oh yeah, again that annoyed us because especially when he's like backing her into the scaffolding and he's literally destroying her. Then all she does is hop over a bar and kick him in the head, and then she runs away. I was like, yeah, she was getting. Actually, you know what? I didn't think about that, mate. You're right, because he was having her there.
Yeah,
he was absolutely having her life.
Like to the point where I was literally thinking they could have paused it, and John could, or John could have literally went, "You like kids, stand down. You don't stand a chance." Yeah, because she doesn't. Of course, she doesn't only like she's a woman. She's an untrained woman. Yeah, that's so scary. Even bringing her up, but like you know. She hasn't got the combat ability in. So what did you think about the Flag Smashers generally as a protagonist group?
I think there's this thing which I really hate, and I think the original trilogy of Star Wars was really guilty of it. And then Rogue One fixed this a little bit, and then to be honest, a little bit of Solo fixed this as well. Which is basically you are told the bad guy is bad, or you were told something is bad, but that's all it is. You're just told it's bad. You're never shown it's bad. And it's just like, it works so much more if you are shown why it's bad. Now I'm actually referring to the government there, not the Flag Smashers. The Flag Smashers, basically, the blip happened, half of fucking existence went away, and then the rest of the other half started to rebuild the world. And that involves moving people around into vacant properties, taking up vacant positions, doing that sort of thing and working together. Now, of the Flag Smashers are the people who remained during the 5-year period and who did that and who worked together and who, in their eyes, built a better world and founded new communities. And then the Avengers reversed the blip, and the half of the universe who disappeared reappeared. They returned to find their jobs, their homes being lived in by someone else, and of course they were like, get the fuck out of my house, because that's mine. Even though I wasn't here for 5 years, I've got legitimate paperwork to say that that's mine, blah, blah, blah. And then, so basically all these people who had worked so hard to rebuild the world were now cast aside, and they were thrown away, and they were now called refugees because they were now thrown on the streets and being homeless and stuff. So the goal of the Flag Smashers was basically we're going to stop this government effort to forcefully recreate the people who worked hard to rebuild the world during the 5-year blip. We're going to try to prevent and stop that from happening. Which again, it's probably, I think I can get that, understand that, and appreciate that. But it's just that thing that it's just like, oh, this bad thing's happening, and that's the reason why we're fighting. It's just like, just show us it. Yeah. It just doesn't work with me. It just telling us what happened does not work with me, especially if you're trying to tell me that atrocities are being committed. It's like, nah, I need to see it. Show us why you're fighting. And it shows why they're bad. Like that's why I think Star Wars was bad, because you're like, oh no, the big bad empire, but then you never actually see them do anything dodgy until, I would say, Rogue One, when you're in like the forced servitude camps, or like in the Solo movie where you get to see Wookiees who are chained up and forced to work in mines, being like, holy shit, the Empire are tyrannical, that's why you're fighting.
Yeah.
But it's just like
the start of the Force Awakens as well, where they slaughter that whole city, the village and stuff as well.
Oh yes, that's a good example as well, actually. That's all of that, but yeah.
Well, I think I feel like Marvel didn't want to the Flag Smashers kind of, I feel like they were there to move the story along, and then for Sam to have his like moral choice at the end, because Sam didn't want to. In the end, Sam basically at the end he actually makes he does what they want to do with passively, like because when she dies, he goes and he speaks to them and stuff, and then in the end it actually makes a big difference. And I think that's kind of would never happen in real life. Just to clarify that, if you think that saying that to some big corporation would make a difference in the world, you're out of your mind. But in the Marvel world, because he's a person of power, and now Captain America and stuff, it's made a difference. And I think yeah, at times they felt like they were just there to be an enemy to the main characters, which isn't a bad thing. You either have a really good cast who don't need a really good villain, or you have all the other way around. You don't, you can't in 6 episodes you can't have a really good villain and really good characters because it's just not the time. You've only got essentially 4 hours. Is how long the whole season runs for, if that. I think they were okay. I think Carly's voice was quite jarring to start with, but then I think it grew on me because it's like she's meant to be from all these different ethnic groups. What else?
No, I was a bit sad about. French guy getting bipped.
Oh yeah.
Because I thought that because in all fairness, obviously he was like unlike a Spider-Man game after you've beaten up all the thugs, you get your first mini boss, and he's like, "Come on, Spider-Man!" He was like that, but he was actually quite nice that he was reoccurring. The fact that they brought him back from Winter Soldier. When I first saw him in the helicopter episode 1, I was like, "That's actually pretty fucking cool."
Yeah.
And then him obviously just having a vendetta and just wanting to fuck up Cap was like mint. Their initial, aside from the casual racism, their initial confrontation in the final episode, I don't really think it was that special, that spectacular, especially for like Sam's reveal as Cap.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was just shot in the fucking head quite unceremoniously, I was like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah, just wash over that. It's like, no loose ends, bang.
Yeah, I would have like obviously Sam was like, right, fuck you, I've got more important, I've got bigger fish to fry, I'm gonna leave you here, baguette man, and he ran off, and then he was all sad, so he started miming in his box, and I was like, right, no bother, Frenchman, and then I was expecting them to have another confrontation at the end of the episode, and then they didn't.
That moves on to the power broker. What do you think about Sharon being she's actually some organised crime?
Yeah, I kind of saw it coming, really. Interesting again, the implication, I suppose. Is she going to be an adversary? Is just like, I don't know.
But
we'll see.
But the thing is, this is the whole thing where I think people need to understand. It's like, just because you oppose the government doesn't mean you're a bad guy. Like, she was kicked out for doing the right thing in Civil War. She then did what she could to survive, and because she's intelligent, she's got connections, she managed to establish this sort of like this criminal organisation in Europe, and then she's come across the US, being pardoned, and thought, well, I have no loyalty to the US. They've betrayed us as soon as they could. I'm going to sell our secrets. Who cares?
Yeah.
So I don't think that makes her a bad person at all. So I think it's important that if people watch it and think, is she actually a baddie or not? It's like, well, no, I don't think so.
No, I think she's definitely going to have some rules to play. But again, I think we're still in that position where, just to be honest, even WandaVision, I actually think Falcon and Winter Soldier, I thought this one was even more self-contained than WandaVision was. Because at least WandaVision had the implications of like her going away to do magic and stuff. And at the end, you're like, oh, it's just like, we're still... Again, I think it's just me being ruined by the MCU now. All I'm thinking about when I'm watching this stuff is, how does this tie into the overall... Like, where's it all going? And we're at the stage right now where, no fairness, it might not be going anywhere.
Well, yeah, I think
it might not.
I think that's probably why they're making it so contained, because they don't want to commit to anything yet. One sec, we'll go on that. Let's just quickly talk about Sharon finally, is the fact that, like, she's like, if she was this evil character, she wouldn't have like helped them throughout the whole episodes. And bear in mind, she like wanted the super soldier stuff. Like, she literally stood outside while they just went in and killed the super soldier guy and that. And I'm thinking, if she really wanted, that doesn't really align with her being the power broker, because like, if she really wanted the super soldier serum, she'd just go up there, grab it. If she knew where he was, she'd just go get it herself first.
Yeah.
Anyway,
she might not knew where it was. Anyways, no vibe I get from Sharon. I get Black Cat vibes. Sort of. Don't really know what she's going to be doing. There's very, very many times she's going to be fighting with the heroes, but then also there's going to be very many opportunities where simply, if her motivations do not align with the heroes, then she's going to do what's good for her, and that might mean being an adversary every now and then. But ultimately, she's just going to be that sort of character that's not flip flops, but just basically has a bit of a grey ideology, and sometimes it aligns with the heroes, sometimes it aligns against them. Yeah. So I just get Black Cat vibes, really.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Sam, I definitely think this entire season. Obviously, Bucky, the namesake of the show is both Sam and Bucky. Obviously, Bucky has had an arc. We'll talk about Bucky at the end. But like, I definitely think Sam has been the star of the show. And to be honest, so he should have really. Yeah. I think this season was about Sam, and I think fucking meant basically like the final confrontation with Carly, the fact that he didn't fight her for the entire final thing. He literally refused to fight her. That's very Steve. Steve did that multiple times with Bucky. Even the same thing when like Bucky nearly beat him to death and stuff. And it's just like, because that's what Cap did.
Well, that's
and
the
then
thing.
Also,
great. That's the thing. I think Steve chose Sam, and he could have chose, he could have given it to Bucky or somebody else. So he could just not give it to him. And I think that is what makes Sam so powerful as Captain America. Is the fact, he doesn't have the serum, and he doesn't need the serum because that's not what makes you Captain America. Like that's why that when Steve got picked, it was because of who he was. That was the most important thing, and that's exactly what I think. In my opinion, that's what Steve's done with Sam. Is that you embody justice, and you not even justice, you embody what's right. Because justice is like it's not as he embodies morality of doing what's right, and he doesn't want to fight her. He's just like I think he's had a really good development arc, and I didn't think they were going to be able to do it. I didn't think they were going to be able to make him juggle being Captain America or not. I just didn't think they had the ability to do it, and they've done it with obviously with John Walker coming in, him refusing it, and I think he's definitely made decisions that Captain America should make, and it shows that it's not the serum, it's the person, and he's got the ability to lead and make the right decisions and the right calls, and definitely Bucky doesn't have those. I think Bucky's he doesn't have enough going on to even have a 6-episode series about him, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Unless they're going to go like, okay, let's just do some flashbacks. But without the flashbacks, the action flashbacks, he just doesn't. There's not enough going on for him. He's just a damaged man at this point, isn't he?
Yeah, that's how I would describe Bucky. Bucky's damaged. I would describe Bucky maybe at the end of this season now, because maybe not, because like I feel like he's made a turn. Again, we'll fucking actually no, I'll say that we'll talk about Bucky afterwards, right? But I think Sam. One thing in this season which I wasn't expecting, which I really fucking liked, was kind of the Isaiah Bradley stuff. Yeah. I think, obviously, I expected going into this season to be, what does it mean? Actually, yes, to be asking the question, what does it mean to be Captain America? What does it mean to take on that mantle? But to be honest, I thought that discussion was going to be satisfied by John Walker being assigned Captain America and then basically doing a bad job, then Sam realising he has to take over. But it wasn't. It was a bit that, but it wasn't just that. It was the fact that it's that question of, well, what does it mean to be Cap? What does it mean to be Cap as a black man? And I think there's actually loads of stuff there which I really fucking liked. I think my favourite part was simply when Bucky and Sam have an argument in the street outside of Isaiah Bradley's house, and then the cops come up and ask Bucky, "Is this man bothering you?"
They really, really did dial down on what does it mean to be black Captain America, and I think it's good because I think they could have washed over that, and I think a lot of people wouldn't have even noticed. I probably wouldn't have noticed, but now it's in there. I don't see how they couldn't have mentioned it. Like they've called it out and they've went, look, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. You're not the blonde hair, blue eyes guy. You're going to be the black Captain America. It makes, what does it represent? And I think it was so well done.
Mm-hmm. I think it was. Him at the end, the final episode, the few times in which on that episode which he shined his cap was the final confrontation with Carly. Mm-hmm. Him deciding to simply not fight and try to reason with that, even if that meant him getting put through pain, a lot of pain. And then ultimately, just at the end, when he was put on the world stage, everyone was looking to him, and then he basically challenged all this bullshit openly and overtly. And yes, the cameras were on him and shit, but like showing people that like what the new Captain America is going to be and stuff. And then then obviously going back to talking about the black experience and no matter how good I am, there's people who's going to hate me for simply picking up this shield. Doesn't matter what I do. Doesn't matter the fact that I'm literally going to fight and die for them. They're still going to hate me just because of the way I look when I'm holding this shield. I think there's one final thing we need to talk about Sam, which we haven't actually talked about yet, which is basically, do you think, because we talked about this following episode 5, do you think Sam delivered, or maybe even put his own spin on the way he fights as Captain America with the wings, the flight, the shield? I think it did.
Yeah. Well, he's an expert of like using his wings to combat and to fight with them, and you could argue that what's better, having a super soldier serum or having like these really just like indestructible wings that could literally cut someone in half.
The times that really stood out was when he flew around and he was instructing that last to grab the throttle of the helicopter, and he flew around like sort of T-boned it and like overhead threw the shield down so that chopped the first door and then like dived through the cockpit and grabbed the pilot out. That was amazing. Then when he saved the 2 cops from the crashing helicopter, and then he landed on the bridge, wrapped his wings around them, and then used the shield as a lid. So it was like a big fucking like cocoon. Then it protected him from that. And then also, I think at the end when he was fighting Carly, there was one point when he was saying, "I'm not going to fight you." He just had the shield up and he was just blocking every blow, and then the wings behind him dug in the floor behind him and held him.
I mean, I did think like initially, right, like talking like a year ago, I thought, when he first got the shield from Endgame, I thought, he can't be, no one can be Captain America without Super Soldier. Bucky should be it because he got Super Soldier serum. I don't think that at all now. I think that like the next big Avenger level threat is going to be as big as Thanos, pretty much, if not bigger. And Steve couldn't do a difference anyway. It didn't matter if he had a super soldier serum or not. He couldn't have done anything. And Steve was worthy of the hammer, and he still couldn't help. Like, he still couldn't beat Thanos. So it's like it's not about Captain America. It's not about Captain America standing up and fighting alone. That's not what Captain America is. It's about leading the Avengers essentially. And when you've got Wanda and Captain Marvel and Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy by your side, do you even need to lift a finger, really? Like, you just need to lead, make the right decisions, make the hard calls, fill the shoes that both Steve and Tony Stark have left.
Yeah, oh shit, yeah.
And can Sam do that for both of them? I don't know. But
I know that's a really interesting thing there, because that's not really a question. I suppose it's a question that's kind of maybe talked in like Homecoming. No, what's it called? Far From Home.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, if we're talking like fighting styles and shit, fucking me. Our new Cap, he's like he's a combination of fucking Iron Man and Captain America. If you think about the way he fights,
yeah. I mean,
like,
there's
totally.
so much potential for Sam to, he's just if he's just using his iron suit, so much potential for him to upgrade himself to the point where he could have way better kit. Like, he could have nanite. He could have nanite wings essentially. He could have nanite vibranium wings essentially if he wanted to. Like, the potential is there. Like, the potential is limitless. So, but again, we're not here to talk about what equipment he has, because it's not about the serum. It's not about the weapons he has. It's about him. I think I think he's in a position to take the mantle, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see where he goes.
I think I'm really excited, absolutely. And those few moments again at the end where when like he lands on the bridge and he wraps his wings around himself in that cop, and then like he protects himself, and he got the people clap. When him and the like Red Wing and stuff, and they get that truck back onto the safety. And then some guy goes, yeah, that's Black Falcon.
Yeah, you're like,
yeah. But then no, he goes, no, that's Captain America. Then literally, again, right at the end, when he's talking to Buck, then some guy literally says, Cap. It's Cap, and he's like, yeah, 1 minute. And then he's like, yeah, this is one of the super soldiers still in the room. We need your help. And literally, I was clapping. I literally fucking clapped because I'm a sad freak. When the title card came at the end and it said Captain America and the Winter Soldier instead of Falcon, I was like, yes.
I wrote in my notes like when Bucky called him Cap, it just felt like it felt right. It was progression. It felt great. Let's move on finally though. Let's talk about Bucky now.
Bucky, I think, like you said, I definitely think Bucky. I don't think Bucky should have been Cap. I think this season was rightly so about Sam, because I think you were right what you've just said. But there's not really much going on about Bucky. And you mentioned that he was damaged. That's also how I would describe him. I would compare throughout the season, maybe not at the end of the season, because Bucky's, he's made some improvements, but throughout the season, I would describe him as like Iron Man 3. Iron Man? When like it's immediately following 2012's Avengers, and he's got PTSD and he's having panic attacks and like passing out and shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's literally broken in that, and he's making rash decisions, like, oh, come on, Mandarin, fighting, and then like he's failing, and it's just like, he's damaged. Now at the end of the season, do you think he made positive changes and had a good arc? Yeah,
I do. I'm going to try and be sort of philosophical, maybe not philosophical, maybe like is Falcon and are Sam and Bucky just different versions of Steve? Because they're all similar in terms of like the characters. Bucky was always looked after Steve, but like we're talking like World War II here. Bucky was a hero. Like during World War II, could he have been Captain America potentially? He probably had everything in the right place, but he's been through so much that I don't think he could be now. And we've only seen like a cusp of what he's done. But bear in mind, he did like slaughter Tony Stark's parents. Like he's done that hundreds of times. Because he's got just too much blood in his hands to actually be Captain America. I just think, he's just too damaged. I think he had a good arc, finally telling that I can't remember his name about his son dying and stuff. And I think it's just dark and bleak, isn't it? Really, like he doesn't have that much going for him, because all he's got is his memories that haunt him, which shows that he's a good person, but he's just sadly just had a horrible life. Essentially, he needs to get over it, and I think he's definitely making amends to do it. And I think he's always going to have a part to play with the Avengers and with Sam. I mean, like what he does say at one point, the shield is the only thing he's got left.
Yes,
and it is like that. Yeah, it is like he's got no family. Everybody he's ever known other than the Avengers are gone, and that shield, that's the only thing that Steve had, and like it's all he's got. It's all he's got. And I think because of that, he's always going to be by Sam's side, because like he's not behind. He's not, when he stands with Sam, he's not standing with Sam. He's standing with Steve, and I think that's why he's always going to be there. And I think he's always going to make a really great really great secondary character throughout going forward.
No, I think you're right. I definitely don't think Bucky could carry something by himself. I think Sam could. I think Sam's quite charismatic. To be honest, I really like Anthony Mackie.
Yeah,
I really like what they did with Sam Wilson. But yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. Actually, that's really good because there is that line when him and is it episode 5 or episode 4 when him and Sam they finally have it out of why Bucky was unhappy with his decision to get rid of the shield. And yeah, he says that's the only part of me I have left. That's my only family I have left. And when you retired it feels like you retired me and I had nothing left.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've never thought about that, but yeah, you're entirely right. Yeah, he does. He'll always be with Sam because even if it's just the fact that he's standing there honouring Steve's decision who should be Captain America. So yeah, he's standing there and he'll still be with Steve as long as he's with Sam, as long as he's with the Shield. No, you're right. I think I really liked the sort of scenes of Sam and Bucky in Sam's community working on the boat.
Yeah, that's good.
Especially because I just like, I don't know, that definitely just brings together. It's community. It's a sense of togetherness. It shows, I suppose, like even like what you're fighting for, and that like there is happiness and shit. And I just think like yeah, when you see Bucky in that environment, because even when he first rocks up and he's like, "Do you need a hand with a boat?" He still seems quite alien to it.
Yeah.
But then at the end there, he just seemed like he was fitting in. He was having a laugh. Like people were like, "Well, the kid's hanging off his metal arm and shit." He's just like chatting and shit. It's just like yeah, that's like. Like I've seen panels like that in comic books. I'm sure I've seen like stuff like we're like fucking Colossus and stuff when they're just standing there like doing their superhero shit, but they're just having a normal conversation and stuff because it's just like a party gag and stuff, and it's just because they're normal people as well.
Yeah.
I definitely so I'm happy with where Bucky.
That's what he needs. That's what he needs, isn't it? Though that's you know even when he was in Wakanda, he was by himself. He's been isolated his whole life. He needs community. He needs people. And potentially, if he was to, I don't know where he's going to be, but obviously, you know, he's staying with Sam, wasn't he? Like free of charge because he's got no money. He's got like. That's what he needs. He needs like just to be part of something bigger. He's always stood for things bigger than himself, but I mean, he's also you know on a more intimate, person to person level. He needs that community. And maybe that living with Sam in that town will give him that.
And I'm not being funny, right? Obviously, I'm sure it's just a throwaway line. But when Sam when like Bucky's first introduced to like his sister, and he's like hi, and Sam's like don't flirt with my sister, and he's like I'm not. And I'm not even being funny. I probably just a throwaway line, just like haha, but like jab and stuff, but. I think, get them together. Why not?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
One thing that people pointed out, maybe episode 3 with the Dora Milaje, which I didn't fucking notice. And to be honest, obviously I watched it, and I didn't have this reaction, and I'm not sure if it was a reaction that Marvel was intending to have, but it is true, which is what you just said, that even when he was in Wakanda, he was alone. Even though we had that flashback of him by the campfire, working on his mental health, trying to get rid of the Winter Soldier programming. So even though he was working very intimately with someone, he was still alone. And that was proved by the fact that when the Dora Milaje had a confrontation, which Bucky then stepped into, they had means and processes to disarm Bucky.
Yeah.
Which people pointed out, which means that even when they were in Wakanda, when he was in Wakanda, when they were working very intimately to help him, even during all that bullshit, they didn't trust him. So they put processes in to get rid of the arm because they didn't trust him.
Yeah, it's not had a good time. Like,
yeah, it's just like when I watched the episode, I didn't even think of that. Even through all that, they didn't trust him. So even during that time was at Wakanda, which clearly had a positive effect on him. Got rid of the Winter Soldier bullshit, but even during then, it wasn't like home.
On that, then finally, because we'll wrap things up. Probably like a high 8, like a 9 out of 10. I can't really fault it. The only faults I could say was like the nitpick and stuff. Like I don't necessarily think Sharon's character throughout, you know, aligned with being the power broker because she seemed too pally throughout the whole thing until the end. And then I don't think necessarily that the whole Zemo thing being rich and just click his fingers and how he solved all the travel thing, that was like really nitpicky stuff. Yeah. And Lamar dying was a bit of a shock and was a bit harsh. I mean, the thing is that they knew the risk. Obviously, they know the risks going to fight super soldiers and stuff. And it was a shame that he died. It was a shame. You know, that's John's favorite, like best friend. And I think because you didn't know the character that much, it probably didn't hit as hard as if it was someone else, which is a shame because it's still somebody still died who was like, you know, representing his country, trying to save the world from serious terrorism. Like, you know, it was a shame he died. I definitely enjoyed Captain America and the Winter Soldier more.
I think like it's what thing I like about WandaVision. I think like I say the only reason I didn't enjoy WandaVision that much is I love Vision. I think Vision's quite amusing and charismatic and
He
stuff.
is, definitely.
So I was interested to see what was happening with Vision. Wanda, meh. But Sam, I really like Sam. I really like Sam as a character, and I like to say I'm thrilled that he's Captain America now because even I think about obviously Steve was very stoic and sort of wise and strong and proud, and that was sort of his like vibes. I think Sam's more charismatic, to be honest.
Yeah.
I do. I think he's a lot more charismatic as a Captain America, and I don't want. I do think they'll do it. I don't think they're going to be like, "Ha, Black Captain America, we finally did it," and then they're going to sidelight him. I do think Sam will be the leader of the Avengers, and I want to see that. No, yeah, it was really good. And we've got Loki next. Where's it? Is Loki in May? Is it fucking just around the corner?
Yeah, it's all about time stuff, isn't it? So that's going to be. I think that's going to be a completely contained story again.
I'm looking forward to it because I think this will be more balls to the wall, not make much sense, crazy stupid shit. But maybe it might be done better than WandaVision. But I'm very excited about it because it'll just be like, what the fuck's going on? And Owen Wilson's back. Wilson's back.
Wow.
Thrilled. So excited.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
Can't keep a good man down. I wonder if he's still doing all the toot. Who knows? But we'll find out next time.
He's gonna have a very nice couch in his house from his DFS advert.
Jesus, how the mighty have fallen. But now he's back in the AAA stuff.
He's back.
Trouble is as high as it's been since he was banging Jennifer Aniston and Marley and Me. This is it. Yeah, we go.
So I don't know how I'm going to do this because I haven't introduced you or anything. I'm just literally going to put it in, just put it playing and see how people like it and go, who's this guy? You told me, and we're like, oh, that's a secret. On that, if you've enjoyed our discussion about Falcon / Captain America or the Winter Soldier, let us know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.